Hej allihopa! I was gonna do a normal sit-down vlog today, but this little guy doesn't want me to sit down. And he's not super happy with me standing in place either, so we will see how this goes. But as you could probably tell from the video title, this is my 3-week postpartum update. And obviously, at this point, I'm not like done healing and everything, so I might do an update again a month or two from now. But we will see. This is where we are at right now. Don't be sad. Don't be sad. That's you. You're so cute. So I have a few topics on my phone that I thought that I would talk about, and just as a heads up, most of this video is probably going to be kind of TMI-ish, because that's just the way it is with postpartum. It's not a walk in the park. So if you are sensitive, then I guess maybe don't watch this video. But let's just get right into it. I thought that I would start with the most sensitive TMI stuff, and that is the lower regions. Just after I gave birth, I was told that I had no tears at all, which I thought was amazing. When I had to go pee, I realized that it was very amazing because as opposed to when I had Tyrion, I didn't have any stinging or anything. When I had Tyrion, I did tear a bit and they had to sew me up and stuff, and it was very painful for the first few days or week or maybe even 2 weeks every time I had to go to the bathroom. So this time around, that's been just awesome to not have to worry about that. I did start having some uncomfortableness after a few days though. I started having some stinging and had a lot of itching, and I kind of felt like it was a yeast infection. I've had them several times before, especially when I've been on hormones or when I was pregnant, so I thought that that might be it. So I got some meds for that, and I think that it got better. Actually, even just the day after, I felt like it was better. It could just be placebo though, I'm not sure, but yeah, that's better, so that's good. Hey. One weird thing that I didn't experience with Tyrion, or after having Tyrion, is that for the first maybe 2 weeks after giving birth this time, I couldn't feel when I needed to go to the bathroom. I didn't have the urge, I guess. So I had to kind of remind myself and just think, when did I go to the bathroom last? 5 hours ago? Well, maybe then I should go now. And I obviously my bladder was full. I just didn't feel it, which was very strange to me. But that's come back now, so yay. And the second thing, doing number 2. If you've had a baby, you know that that's not very fun afterwards. I think I did it like 3 or 4 days after giving birth, and it was actually not as bad as I anticipated. It actually got worse after that, and I'm kind of constipated, so that's obviously making it worse. So I'm basically just biding my time and hoping that it will get better soon, and I'm also trying to eat things that are good when you're constipated. So yeah. It's one of those things that I feel like they don't tell you about. They talk about like pregnancy symptoms, but all that stuff that happens after you have a baby, it's like when I had Tyrion, most of the things were actually shocking to me. Oh, don't be sad. Don't be sad. You're not constipated. Also, something that they might not tell you about beforehand is the vaginal discharge that you have after giving birth. Obviously you bleed a lot. I bled for about 2 weeks. Now I'm only having the discharge from the, I don't know what it is actually, but there's no blood anymore, I guess. And the afterbirth pains, basically like cramps or contractions, kind of. I had them for maybe 4 or 5 days after having Theo. With Tyrion, I didn't feel them at all. And they do say that they get progressively worse with every child, so that's something to look forward to. But yeah, I had them especially when I was nursing, and it was not fun. Next on my list is fatigue, and I'm actually not feeling very much of that, even though I'm not sleeping very well, and I'm not sleeping for long periods of time. So when I do get to sleep, it's for maybe 2 hours if I'm lucky. But that's kind of part of having a baby, and I feel like the hormones are made up for that. So I'm actually not very tired when I'm awake most of the time. As for my mental state, it's been kind of up and down since I had Theo, which I think is very normal. Just as I had him and the day after, I was so happy and elated because it was such a good experience, especially compared to my first baby, who had to be in the NICU for a few weeks and stuff. With Theo, I got to have him from the very start, and he didn't leave me, and it was an awesome experience. So I was very happy, but then I did get the 3-day blues, or whatever they call it. So on the 3rd day, I did cry a lot, mostly because he wasn't nursing. He was just sleeping and he didn't want to feed. So I was very worried about that, and I felt very I put a lot of pressure on myself, and I felt like a bad mom. And of course, the fact that it was the 3rd day probably made everything worse and everything magnified in my mind. So I did have that. But since then, I've been pretty happy. I mean, when you're super tired, your feelings are kind of more on the surface. So I do cry sometimes, and I do get yeah, you can cry too. I do get kind of overwhelmed sometimes, but most of the time it's actually, I'm feeling good. So yeah, that's good. Då sjunger hon sakta för 11 små trollen, det vackraste ord hon känner. Oj, 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 buff. Oj, 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 buff. Oj, 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 buff, buff. Oj, 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 buff. Now for breastfeeding, and yeah, breastfeeding, as I said, was kind of tricky at first because Theo was too tired to feed, but we got going on maybe the 3rd or 4th day, and now he's doing very good. And I have to feed him every 2 hours or so, and my nipples are very sore, but at least the super tension in my boobs are gone now. So basically they hurt mostly when he hasn't fed in a while, as opposed to the first week or so when they were just super painful all the time because they were getting used to the milk, I guess, and getting used to all of the hormones and stuff. I watched Ellie Meekum's postpartum video from when she had Calvin, I think, and I thought it was so fun what she said. She kind of said that they struggled as well at first, but then at the point where she was filming the video, they had become breastfeeding buddies, and I thought that was so cute. And we are definitely breastfeeding buddies. We're doing pretty good, but yeah, it's kind of painful. And I have bought some nursing pads. They are reusable, so I just hand wash them every night, and I have a pair of white ones and black ones, and they are from the company Poops. They make what's it called, cloth diapers. So yeah, and I just found their nursing pads and they're awesome. So I use those. Other than that, I haven't really used any nipple creams or anything because I don't have any, but I'm just trying to kind of stick it out without them. I weighed myself 2 days ago, and I weighed, let's see, 66.3 kilos, which is 146 pounds. And that is about 5 kilos more than I weighed before I got pregnant, and I guess 7 kilos less than I weighed just before I had Theo. So I'm kind of halfway, or a bit over halfway, back to my original weight, but I am in no hurry, and I do look forward to starting to work out again. But I'm, like I said, I'm not rushing it. I'm not going to start working out before I'm allowed to, and I'm not very concerned with my weight, to be honest. And then I thought that I was gonna do a belly shot, so I think I'm gonna have to hand Theo over to Michael, and I'm gonna show you my stretch marks that I actually realized after giving birth that I had, because they were kind of at the bottom of the belly. You're gonna see in a second, and I couldn't see them because the belly was in the way. So yeah, that's kind of interesting. Let's talk about that. Okay, so let's take a look at my belly. First off, this is what the belly looks like right now. So I'm not back to what it looked like before, but I think I'm almost back, because I did have kind of a belly before getting pregnant as well. And then if we do like this, as you can see, they're kind of on the lower side of the belly. So when I had the big belly, I couldn't really see them. I saw one of them, I think this one, I saw in the mirror, but then the other ones must have showed up right at the end of the pregnancy. And the thing is, I don't really... Hi. I don't really care. I'm not worried about stretch marks. I wasn't worried. I can't speak. I wasn't worried about them before I gave birth or throughout the pregnancy. I didn't really like use any of those creams or anything on my belly, because I'm like, who's gonna see my belly anyway? And that's gonna be the end of this video. So yeah, if you have any questions, if there's something I didn't bring up or anything, just feel free to put them in the comments below. And hopefully in a few months or a month or so, I will be doing an update on this, and hopefully I'll be feeling much better then. Please like this video if you liked it, and subscribe if you want to see more of our daily vlogs, and we will see you tomorrow. And thank you for watching. Hej då!